My name is Julia Sorensen, and I'm Communications Manager for Push the Boat Out, which is Edinburgh's International Poetry Festival. This is our first year of it, and it's happening on October 15th to 17th, and I'm here in the Lighthouse Garden to talk a little bit about it. I think the flavor for Push the Boat Out is really eclectic and varied. My personal take is maybe even a little bit campy, as we are looking to break open the term poetry a little bit. We don't want to be restrictive in definition of what poetry is. So the festival has lots of spoken word and reading and discussions and artist talks, but it also focuses pretty heavily on hip hop as a form of poetry, and poetry in film, and poetry in games, and in visual installations and soundscapes. So we are really interested in breaking open the definition of what poetry can be, and maybe reintroducing poetry a little bit to people. Language is really integral to poetry, obviously, and with Edinburgh being it's a very diverse space. There's lots of people in Edinburgh with a bunch of different language cultures, and so it was really integral for us to be able to represent that. Most of our programming is in English, but Gaelic has certainly been a very important language to include. Also, specifically, I'm thinking about one event, which is Harry Josephine Giles' book launch, and they've written their new book in their dialect, which is extremely interesting and exciting, and I'm so very excited to hear the performance. So yeah, because language is so integral to Scottish culture and heritage, we really thought it was very important to make sure that everybody has a space, regardless of whether English was the language. I also personally feel that English is a language that can benefit from being undercut sometimes. And there is also poetry in listening to something you don't understand because of the sonic aspects of poetry, or reading something that you don't understand because of the visual aspects of poetry. And so if you don't speak Gaelic, you're still going to find space in the program to enjoy it if you're going to some of those events. So the kind of poets people can expect to see at Push the Boat Out is... the bill is really hard to remember because it's very long, but we have lots and lots of different kinds of poets from Scotland, the UK, and we're also streaming some people in from abroad, so Lorna Goodison is going to be one of them. We also have lots of the Scottish household names like Harry Josephine Giles, Nadine Aisha Jassett, Andrew McMillan, Vani Capildeo. There's so many on the list, and I'm trying to scroll through in my head right now. The poet that I personally am very excited about is a poet who is part of one of our takeover events and also is part of our Poetry Mile project. So that's Ellen Renton. I really like her voice and style and writing, and it really speaks to my own writing style, so that's why I really like Ellen Renton. Also, she's lovely to talk to, so I'm really excited about that. Yeah, her Poetry Mile poems are phenomenal. So yeah, a Poetry Mile is a project that I really, really love that Push the Boat Out is doing. We've gotten lots and lots of poets to record. I think it's over 60 poems, probably about 30 poets, 20 to 30 poets, and kind of locate these poems all around Edinburgh, mostly within a square mile of Summer Hall, so focusing on the Meadows and Holyrood, and there's a couple on Calton Hill, but we also have some poems in Portobello, and there's one in Queensferry, so it's a little bit scattered, but basically the idea was to get poets thinking about how their current practice relates to place, and it's just so much more exciting than I even imagined. So yeah, and that's actually being released on October 1st and will be around for a full year. So if you can't manage to make it to push the boat out during the festival time of the 15th to 17th of October, Poetry Mile is going to be around for a while. During our festival will be lots happening in Summer Hall. So you may come in with expectations of hearing poetry readings and hearing artist talks, which you will certainly, of course, experience, but there will be visual art installations. We have a bit of a film festival happening within the festival, so we're screening, I believe, 5 films that are to do with poetry and politics and socio-political situations as well. There will be hip-hop in lots of many myriad forms, which I'm thrilled about. There'll be music as well. Really, it's quite a varied bill, so if you are not doing anything on October 15th to 17th and you hear the word poetry and you're like, ugh, then don't be intimidated. You'll certainly experience some poetry, but you might be surprised. My pitch to the person who should be and isn't yet converted to poetry would be to check Push the Boat Out, because we are breaking open the stereotypes of poetry and really want to expand understandings of what poetry is. Poetry is everywhere, and that sounds really wishy-washy, but Push the Boat Out is going to underline that poetry is in everyday life and is in mundane things, and that you can find it everywhere. It's not just in an academic setting. It's not just you sitting there reading something, trying to understand. And I think lots of people have their own really specific preferences, even within poetry. And because we have such an eclectic bill, I think that everybody can find something that they're going to jive with, even if it isn't the entire festival. Yeah.